Hey guys, tonight we travel deep into the obsidian heart of Mesoamerica to a world where the sun needs blood to rise, where gods once tore themselves apart to keep the sky moving, and where ordinary people, like you, are expected to do your part with a flint blade and a trembling chest. You might imagine that ancient temples were all chanting monks and incense, until you realize the incense might be coming from you. You probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and your local time in the comments. I love seeing where and when you all tune in. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're barefoot on a stone platform. The heat presses in, thick and steady, as if the sky itself were sweating. Below you, jungle trees rustle. Above you, stars blink in the stillness, but they shouldn't be there. At least, not yet. The sun should have risen. The priests say something's gone wrong. And it's not just today. It's the 5th time the world has ended. That's where the Aztec story begins. With apocalypse, times for in the first world, everyone was eaten by jaguars. In the second, fierce winds tore the land apart. The third, fire rained from the sky. And in the fourth world, floods swallowed everything. The universe just kept rebooting like an ancient cosmic software update. Except instead of crashing programs, it was you getting dissolved by tidal waves. But now, finally, you're living in the 5th sun, the present age. Except, this one's not stable either. The gods say it teeters on a knife's edge, and the only thing keeping it going is energy, divine fuel, and they already gave their blood to get it started. Now, it's your turn. See, the Aztec gods didn't just exist, they bled. According to their myth, the world as you know it came into being only after one god, Tenochtitlan, a pimpled, humble figure, threw himself into a fire to become the sun. His rival, proud and glittering Tenochtitlan, tried to do the same but hesitated at the edge. That little delay, total embarrassment. The universe made two suns, and had to fix the problem by throwing a rabbit in Tenochtitlan's face, literally. That's why the moon has a rabbit-shaped scar, they say. Petty, cosmic drama. But the sun didn't just appear. No, the gods who remained had to slice open their own chests to feed it with blood. Only then did it start to move. A fiery, reluctant machine, grinding into gear. Imagine that. The dawn only happens because someone cut out their own heart. So, when you watch the sunrise over the jungle, with its glowing gold fingers spreading across the treetops, it's not a peaceful moment. It's a warning. The universe needs payment, and that bill comes daily. This idea that the sun runs on sacrifice is central to Aztec belief. It's not optional. It's physics, like feeding wood to a fire. Instead of kindling, it's life force, and human hearts, their top-grade fuel. If that sounds intense, well, it was. But here's the twist. The Aztecs didn't see sacrifice as brutal. They saw it as beautiful, sacred, heroic. When you die on the altar, you're not losing your life. You're giving it. You're stepping into the myth, joining the gods in their ancient, bloody pact. It's less screaming horror movie and more divine internship, at least, in theory, now. Historians still argue whether the Aztecs truly believed all this, or whether it was a way to control people. Maybe it's both. After all, if your priest says the sun will literally die unless you hand over a few hearts, you'll probably find yourself volunteering your enemies pretty quickly. And maybe, if you're raised in that system, even your own death starts to look like a kind of cosmic graduation ceremony. But the real-world scale of all this, that's not up for debate. The Aztecs performed human sacrifice on a scale unmatched. In the ancient world, at least, that we know of. Estimates vary wildly because ancient math was more poetic than precise. But during the dedication of the Templo Mayor in 1487, it's said that up to 80,000 people were sacrificed in just 4 days. Most historians scoff at that number. It's logistically insane. But even if it was only a few thousand, the impact is staggering. Blood ran down the steps, literally. But here's a quirky twist. Not everyone's sacrifice was a prisoner. Some volunteered, and not just out of pious fear. There were gladiator-style events where brave warriors would fight elite captors, with a feathered club one side with obsidian blades, the other without. And if you died, it was glorious. Like front row seats to heaven. Only you are the performance. And speaking of feathers, one fringe theory claims the Aztecs believed hummingbirds were the reincarnated souls of warriors who died in sacrifice. So next time you see one hovering, wings buzzing like a heartbeat, you might be looking at a former jaguar knight, checking out your bird feeder. The point is, death wasn't the end. It was the price. And your heart, that was currency. Of course, if you're thinking, this sounds suspiciously convenient for a ruling elite that needs control, you're not wrong. That's part of the genius. If you could make your people believe the sun needs them to kill and die, then you've got the most obedient society imaginable. Why stage a rebellion when the sun's on the line? Still, there's something eerily moving about it too. Imagine growing up with that kind of purpose. Every heartbeat isn't just survival, it's participation in the divine. Every dawn is a miracle you helped make happen. So tonight, as the stars blink above you and you imagine the gods watching, waiting, weighing whether the sun will rise tomorrow, remember, in the Aztec world, existence isn't guaranteed, it's negotiated. With blood. You wake up to the sound of canoes gliding over still water. The air smells like wet stone and crushed flowers. Above you, the volcanoes Iztaccíhuatl and Popocatépetl glow faintly. In the morning light, their snowy peaks looking down like silent gods. This is Tenochtitlan, your home, and you're already running late for temple duty. Built in the middle of Lake Texcoco, the Aztec capital isn't just a city, it's a floating masterpiece. Imagine Venice with more jaguars. Canals crisscross the island like shimmering veins, and rows of China's floating gardens stretch toward the horizon, each bursting with maize, chilies, and flowers arranged with obsessive precision. The air is cooler out here on the lake, always tinged with sweet rot from the water lilies. You're paddling your canoe toward the center, where the twin temples of Templo Mayor rise like a jagged crown. But this isn't just a pretty city. It's a clock, a calendar, a stage. And the sacrifices performed here, they're the beating heart of it all. Everything in Tenochtitlan is built with purpose. The city map isn't just for directions, it's cosmological, for districts radiate outward from the Templo Mayor, representing the four cardinal directions, each filled with its own temples, schools, and markets. Walk down any street, and you're following a divine blueprint. Step out of line, you're not just off track, you're spiritually misaligned. And then there's the Templo Mayor itself, to steep staircases, side by side, leading to twin temples at the top. One is dedicated to Tlaloc, god of rain, the other to Huitzilopochtli, god of war, and the sun, the real diva of the Aztec pantheon. Legend says the temple design reflects the dual nature of existence, wet and dry, peace and war, crops and conquest, or, your heart or your head. It's not just symbolic. Offerings are divided: children for Tlaloc, yes, really, because their tears call rain. Warriors for Huitzilopochtli. It's all very compartmentalized. But as you climb those stairs, watching priests in feathered cloaks anoint the stone with chalky copal smoke, you're not just observing religion, you're witnessing logistics. The Aztecs ran sacrifice like a well-oiled machine. Take the Tzompantli, the skull rack. It's not some messy pile of bones. It's a structured display. Horizontal beams packed with skulls neatly drilled through the sides and stacked like macabre trophies. It's not just intimidation, it's accounting. A visual record of cosmic tax paid. Now, here's the practical question that nags modern minds. How did they do this daily? Surely they'd run out of victims, right? Not in an empire designed around supply. You see, the Aztecs didn't conquer territory to expand, they conquered to feed the sun. This is what historians call the Flowery Wars, ongoing, ritualized conflicts designed not to destroy enemies but to capture them. Imagine a battlefield where the goal isn't to win, but to harvest. Warriors didn't aim to kill, they aimed to subdue. It's like Pokémon with real weapons. Gotta catch 'em all. Your whole society is engineered to support this. Boys are trained from age 5 for war. Schools teach battle chants, obsidian club techniques, and polite throat slashing etiquette. And girls, they're told that childbirth is its own battle, die in labor. And your soul joins the Sun Warrior elite. Equality, Aztec style. Even taxes reflect this ideology. Tribute wasn't just cocoa beans and textiles. Some provinces were required to send regular quotas of people. Imagine living in a town where your monthly rent is paid in teenagers. Now here's the quirky bit. Captured warriors got treated like royalty before the whole sacrifice thing. They were fed well, paraded around, and even given women. Why? Because a strong, proud victim makes a stronger offering. The gods don't want your leftovers. They want prime cuts. But not everyone agrees on the scale. Historians still debate how many sacrifices actually happened. Some argue that the Spanish exaggerated the numbers to justify conquest. Look how savage they are. Others believe the archaeological evidence backs up those jaw-dropping figures. After all, we've found mass graves, blood gutters carved into temples, and remains in numbers that do suggest regular turnover. And just like that, you arrive at the temple. You're not a priest or a warrior today. You're just here to help lay marigolds along the steps. But as you set the petals in place, trying not to trip on the rough stone. You realize something. The city is a living prayer. The murals on the walls show jaguar gods leaping across stars. The market down below sells turquoise earrings shaped like hearts. Even the hot tamales are wrapped like offerings. Everything feeds the ritual. You pass a group of school children rehearsing a chant about Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god who once banned sacrifice but later fled eastward in shame. Some say he promised to return one day to end the bloodshed. A few elders whisper that the Spanish were mistaken for him, pale strangers from the east, with crosses and steel. It's the kind of myth that sounds suspiciously like a cosmic prank. But today, you're still in the golden age. The temples shine, the gods are fed, and the people of Tenochtitlan, farmers, warriors, nobility alike, move through their days with the quiet certainty that they're part of something vast, holy, and beautiful. A system where even death is designed. And maybe, as you light another stick of incense, you start to feel it too. That hum in the air, that sense that the city breathes, like a great stone heart, pulsing with smoke and song and blood, suspended between lake and sky. Welcome to the empire that made death sacred and beauty dangerous. You lace up your sandals, grab your obsidian-bladed mythic, and head out before dawn. Today is not market day, not a feast day, it's a capture day. You're part of a campaign, not to conquer land, but to find people, living, breathing. Offerings, the empire demands them, the calendar demands them, the gods are watching. The sky is still ink dark as you walk with your comrades, feathered crest bob beside you. Some wear jaguar pelts, others eagle feathers, and some are fresh recruits like you, nervous, sharp-eyed, and very aware that you're supposed to return with a prisoner, or two, or else. This isn't a war of conquest. It's a flower war exochial, a sacred arrangement between city-states like Tlaxcala and Tenochtitlan. Yes, these enemies hate each other. Yes, the fighting is brutal, but it's also ritualized. The point isn't to burn their city, it's to take their warriors alive. Because the gods don't want corpses. They want conscious hearts. Think of it like an apocalyptic game of tag, except if you lose, someone pulls out your insides. As you march through forest and misty valleys, the path lined with butterflies and snake tracks, you can feel the weight of expectation. The Aztec warrior's worth isn't in kills, it's in captures. Bring home for prisoners and you level up to a higher military rank. Bring home more, and you get perks, finer clothing, bigger houses, special food. And at the very top, immortality. Warriors who die in sacrifice go to the sun's side, riding shotgun through the dawn sky for years before reincarnating as hummingbirds, or butterflies, or according to one fringe myth, a kind of radiant wind that whispers through volcanoes. But before any of that, you have to succeed. And the flower wars are no joke. The two armies meet on an open plain. There's shouting, drumming, a rising fog of sweat and copal. You charge with your comrades, yelling your house glyphs, gripping your weapon by its leather wrap. But the mythic isn't for slashing indiscriminately, it's for disarming, subduing. Every move is calculated. A sweep to knock them down, a twist to pin, a well-placed knee to the back. Victory is when your opponent surrenders, not bleeds out. And yes, it's terrifying, but it's also strangely respectful. Captured warriors are not mocked. They're honored. Their bravery is praised, their lineage recorded. And for the few days between capture and sacrifice, they live like honored guests. They're washed, fed, given songs, sometimes even wives. You might be treated better as a prisoner than you were back home. Some historians argue whether the flower wars were religious or political. But that's probably a false choice, they were both. Constant warfare gave warriors a path to status and fed the state's never-ending hunger for sacrificial victims. It also kept rival cities just weak enough to prevent rebellion, while still supplying healthy, trained soldiers for the altars, basically. The Aztec military-industrial complex ran on blood and calendar deadlines. And those calendars, they're terrifyingly precise. The Aztecs tracked time using two overlapping systems, the 260-day Tonalpohualli sacred calendar, and the 365-day Xiuhpohualli solar calendar. When these two synced up every 52 years, the world was believed to be especially vulnerable. If the gods weren't properly appeased, everything could unravel. The sun might stop. The fifth age could collapse. So every 52-year cycle ended with a new fire ceremony. All fires in the empire were extinguished. The world sat in darkness and waited. Priest would climb a sacred mountain, cut open a sacrificial victim, and try to start a new flame in his chest cavity. If it caught, if the fire lit, the sun would rise again, and the entire empire would breathe out. If not, well, that part never happened. Or at least, we hope it didn't. You've survived your first skirmish. You even helped subdue a captive. There's celebration when you return to the city. Your name is chanted, your hair tied in the warrior's knot, and you're awarded a feathered cape light as heir, woven from Quetzal plumes. You're somebody now, a provider of balance, a protector of the sun, and maybe, just maybe, you're starting to believe the whole system works, that if everyone does their part, sacrifices, rituals, quotas, then the calendar will keep turning, the rains will come, the corn will grow, the gods will stay pleased. But even within the empire, not everyone agrees. Some philosophers, like those of the Kalmakak schools, quietly question whether so much blood is necessary. Some cities resist tribute. Even among the priests, debates flicker. How much is enough? Does every eclipse mean we failed? Historians still argue whether the entire sacrifice system was truly driven by religious fear, or whether it was a brilliant political mechanism cloaked in celestial urgency. After all, when your entire society runs on fear of literal cosmic collapse, you get obedience fast. Still, for you, the logic holds. The captives are treated well, the gods are fed. The calendar spins on dot, and as you walk home through the cities, flower-strewn streets, passing murals of gods clutching serpents and stars, you remember the phrase carved on a temple wall, in the place of the eagle. We eat the hearts of flowers, a poetic way of saying, in war, we harvest beauty and blood. You're standing at the base of the Templo Mayor, staring way up at the twin staircases that rise like jagged ribs into the sky. On one side is Lalok's temple, calm and cool in its blue-painted stucco. On the other, the searing red-orange of Huitzilopochtli, god of war and fire and flaming opinions. Today, his priests are in charge, because today is sacrifice day. The plaza below buzzes with life, nobles wrapped in jaguar skin cloaks, traders hawking roasted maize and cocoa, small children perched on their parents' shoulders, all straining to see the top of the temple. The smell of marigolds, incense, and sweat hangs thick in the humid air. You shift on your feet, trying to blend into the crowd, pretending you're not secretly wondering what it feels like to be the one up there. Drums begin. Slow at first, boom, 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 like a heartbeat. No, exactly like a heartbeat. The priest, assistants bare-chested, their faces painted in skeletal white, appear from within the temple's inner sanctum, guiding the first victim toward the top. He's not crying, not struggling. He's calm, focused, a captured warrior from Tlaxcala, wearing a red cloak. People whisper that he was brave in battle, and that he captured 3 men of his own before being taken. That makes him a premium offering. As he ascends, flower petals are thrown into the air. Children sing songs of Huitzilopochtli's birth, how he sprang from his mother's womb fully armed, and immediately decapitated his evil sister. You know, family-friendly stuff. At the top, the sacrificial stone gleams under the sun. It's sloped just slightly backward, like a cruelly designed lounge chair. For priest grab the man's arms and legs, positioning him so his chest rises toward the sky. Another priest steps forward, holding the Tecpatala razor-sharp obsidian blade that glints like wet glass. And then the drums stop. One quick motion, practiced and precise. The blade plunges into the chest, guided by hands that have done this hundreds of times. There's a flash of red, a brief shudder, and then the priest lifts the still-beating heart high above his head. The crowd doesn't gasp. It cheers, because this isn't a murder. It's maintenance. You are feeding the sun. The heart is placed into a ceremonial vessel, offered to Huitzilopochtli. The body is rolled down the temple steps, yes, literally rolled, limbs flopping and collected at the bottom. Depending on the ritual, it might be burned, buried, or repurposed. Some say high-ranking warriors were allowed to consume parts of the body and act not of cannibalism, but of honor. Tastes like victory, probably. Here's the curious thing. Sacrifice isn't a hidden horror. It's public theater. Everyone watches, everyone participates. Children sing. Nobles donate cloaks to wrap the bodies. Artisans carve the day's victims into stone murals, right next to hummingbirds and solar discs. It's woven into daily life like rain and farming. And you don't flinch anymore. You've seen this dozens of times. Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's 20. On festival days, it's more. The priests change shifts like factory workers, their arms soaked elbow deep in red. The stone scrubbed down between each ritual like an operating table between. Patience, still, debates bubble beneath the surface. Not everyone is convinced this is sustainable. Some scholars whisper that Tenochtitlan's appetite is growing too fast, that the demand for prisoners is putting stress on the tribute system, that the constant wars are alienating allies. Historians still argue whether the empire collapsed under the weight of its own rituals, whether the pressure to keep feeding the calendar led to reckless expansion, resentment, and eventually rebellion. But you're not thinking about that. Right now, you're watching the next victim ascend. This time it's a woman rare, but not unheard of. Possibly a priestess from a captured city. She walks with dignity. Her white robes are embroidered with black obsidian teardrops. She doesn't tremble. And as the blade rises, you catch her eyes. For a flicker of a moment, she sees you. And there's no fear there, only purpose. The priests chant her name, the drums restart, and the ritual continues. Later, the streets are filled with dancers. Children run laughing between dancers wearing masks of deer and butterflies. The temples are lit by torchlight. You eat maize cakes and drink a frothy cup of pulque, a fermented agave drink that tastes like someone spilled fruit salad into a clay pot and left it for 3 days. Tonight, the sun has been fed. Tomorrow, it will rise again. And maybe, just maybe, you'll sleep a little easier knowing you helped. But then a shadow flickers across the moon. People murmur. The drums pause. Priests climb the stairs again, not for sacrifice, but to cast maize into the air, wave burning copal, and beg the gods not to take it as a sign. Not another eclipse. Not another warning. You look around at the murals, the hearts, the hummingbirds, the jaguar gods, and wonder, quietly, how long this can go on. Because the sun's hunger doesn't end, and neither, it seems, does the need to feed it. The air smells like smoke and salt water. You're standing on the lake's edge now, older, wiser. A few feathers faded with age. The stone temples of Tenochtitlan rise behind you. Glorious still, but there's something new on the horizon. Strange sails. A language you don't understand. Faces that gleam with metal and eyes that don't seem to blink. The gods never said anything about them. You've heard rumors, everyone has. Pale-skinned strangers landing on distant shores. Creatures riding deer. Thunder in their hands. Crosses held high like spears of light. And most confusing of all, they don't seem impressed by your temples. They recoil at the blood on your altars. They call your sacred rites demonic. Which is kind of ironic, considering they wear death like perfume plagues, steal, fire, and carry their own brutal gods stitched into banners. You want to explain the truth. That what they see as horror is actually hope. That tearing out hearts keeps the sky from falling. But they don't ask. They demand. The year is 1519. Hernan Cortez marches inland, welcomed by emissaries who still half wonder if he's Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent returning. The resemblances, loose at best, but the timing, uncanny. According to the calendar, this is the year the god is supposed to return. Historians still argue whether Montezuma truly believed it, or whether he just saw a political opportunity wrapped in silver and stubble. You stand in the square, watching these foreigners. Look up at the Templo Mayor. One of them scoffs. Another gags at the scent of dried blood in the air. They don't understand. They think the sacrifices are madness, a spectacle of cruelty. They see hearts, not harmony. And soon, the destruction begins. Cortez allies with enemies of the empire Tlaxcalans. Angry tribute cities, old rivals tired of feeding the Aztec beast. The Spaniards bring cannons, horses, steel blades, but their deadliest weapons are invisible. Smallpox sweeps through the city before the fighting even begins. It kills thousands. Priests, warriors, children. No sacrifice wards it off. You fight. Of course, everyone does. For every street, every stone, every bone of the city you built. But obsidian blades crack against steel. Eagle warriors fall to musket fire. And in the final siege of 1521, Tenochtitlan burns. The sacred lake runs thick and black with soot. Smoke coils up from the temples, twisting into the sky like dying prayers. The Templo Mayor falls. The drums go silent. And yet, even as the flames consume your world, some still perform the rites, quietly, in hidden corners. A whispered chant, a single drop of blood, a clay figurine left on a shrine. Because old beliefs don't vanish, they retreat, like the sun behind clouds. Some say that even as the Spaniards tore down the temple stones, they found fresh blood on the altars, that the final sacrifices continued until the very last moment, until the heart of the empire beat its last. It wasn't just religion. It was rhythm. It was identity. It was the idea that you mattered cosmically, physically, spiritually, that the universe needed you. In the centuries to come, the Spaniards rewrite everything. They burn codices, reframe rituals as savage, erase gods with whitewashed saints. But the myths persist in secret, in dreams, in songs, in murals that, if you look closely, still hide suns and serpents. And that memory, it lingers. Modern Mexico still pulses with the aftershocks, Day of the Dead festivals, eagle warriors on parade, temples in earth beneath city foundations, the bones of a civilization that believed in blood and beauty, in duty and stars. Even the Mexican flag bears traces the eagle perched on a cactus, devouring a serpent. A nod to the founding vision that once led your people to the lakes. Sender. Because here's the secret. The Aztecs didn't kill because they were monsters. They sacrificed because they were afraid. Afraid the world might end. Afraid the gods might abandon them. Afraid the sun might not rise. And, to be fair, they weren't wrong. The world did end for them, but not entirely. Not forever. You stand now on the ruins of your temple, surrounded by strange languages and new rules. But beneath the soil, the heart of your world still beats. Quietly, relentlessly, somewhere. A hummingbird darts past a flowering tree, its wings a blur. You wonder if it once held a blade. And high above, the sun rises again. It always does. And now, let the drums fade. Let the obsidian quiet, and the torches go dim. The crowd has gone home. The feathers are folded away. The stone stairs are cold and empty. No chanting, no cheering. Just the soft echo of footsteps long gone. Imagine standing at the edge of Lake Texcoco now, the surface smooth as glass. The mountains far away under soft morning light. Tenochtitlan is gone, but the water remembers. The wind carries faint rhythms, flute notes. Maybe, or maybe just your imagination. Let the weight of the story settle now. The rituals, the beliefs, the blood-soaked beauty of a world that gave everything it had to keep the sky turning. You don't have to decide whether it was right or wrong. Just breathe. Let it be what it was, a desperate, stunning, sacred attempt to hold off the dark. Your heart for the sun, your breath for the rain, your memory for the gods. So lie back now, wherever you are. Let the humming of your fan become the sound of wind on temple stone. Let the steady beat of your pulse mirror the ancient drums just for a moment longer. And as the stars blink awake in your sky, know this: you are still part of the story.